So Social Security, how does it work? What age is a good age to claim? I'm going to go through a little bit of the background. It's a little complicated, so bear with me. If you were born after 1960, your full retirement age is 67. Between these years, for each year, add 2 months per year. Now, regardless of when your full retirement age is, you should still file 3 months before you turn 65 for Medicare. This will help keep your premiums down, is what was told by the Social Security Administration. You're required to have 40 Social Security credits. You can earn a maximum of 4 per year, and so that basically means you need to have worked for at least 10 years to get Social Security. And each credit, it's somewhere around $1,700 a credit, goes up every year, basically 4 times that. As long as you earn that amount of money, you get the 4 credits. Social Security is based on your highest 35 years of earnings. So if you've only worked for 30 years, you might want to work for 5 more years so that you get all 35 years of earnings, because 5 years will be taken as zero. And that comes into where your lifetime earnings, which are indexed for inflation, come into play. So what they're going to do is they'll have something called the average indexed monthly earnings, the AIME, and that's equal to your lifetime earnings, which have been indexed, divided by 35 years, or 420 months. What they're going to do is they're going to go through bend points, and what this means is basically your primary insurance amount. You're going to get 90% of up to $1,174 of whatever this AIM is, 32% from that number to $7,078 for 2024, and as you have more and more earnings, basically it's progressive, so then it gives 15% above that amount of your AIM, and that is going to be basically your Social Security amount that you get paid in a check every month once you reach your full retirement age. Now, what if you take this at the earliest possible time? So at 62 years of age, you could take a reduced Social Security benefit by 30%. Now, anytime between 62 and your full retirement age, if I'm assuming 67 is your full retirement age, you get a reduction of 0.5% per month every month you take it prior to full retirement age, or that comes out to about 6% per year in reduction for every year you take it before full retirement age. Now, if you wait till you're 70 or 69 or 68, for every year that you delay Social Security, you get an extra 8%. So at 70, you can get 124% of your Social Security retirement benefit. Because people have options, basically it gets more confusing, and you don't want to take a low benefit if you're going to live for a really long time, and you don't want to wait and get the highest benefit if you're going to pass away before you even take your benefit. What is your break-even point? Well, a break-even point is generally, it looks for me, around 79 years of age if I look at age 62 versus 67. So if I think I'm going to live longer than 79 years old, it makes more sense to take retirement at 67 instead of 62. If I look at 62 versus 70, if I wanted to take it at 70, I have to live for at least 81 years if I want to take it at that higher amount. And if I'm looking at 67 versus 70, the break-even point's around 83. For me, I would look at my family history. Does everybody pass away in their 60s? Everybody pass away in their 70s? Or do I have a lot of family members that live into their 80s and 90s and things like that? And what's your specific health? If you're dealing with like cancer and heart disease and other things, maybe I want to take this early. Maybe I want to take it at 62 because the likelihood that I'll live for a much longer period of time, it's unlikely. Also with that, people come into life expectancy. So if you're looking at somebody that was just born, so age 0, what's their life expectancy? If they're a male, it's 74. If they're female, it's 80 years. And I rounded this to the nearest whole number. But the thing is, when you're at 62 years old, your life expectancy is actually an additional 19 years if you're male, and an additional 22 years if you're female. So if I'm female, I have a much better likelihood of living longer, so maybe I want to delay this as far as I can. And if I'm a male, especially if I have health conditions, I might take it a little bit earlier. It depends, again, on your family history as well as your health. But even if I'm 70, you see that this only drops by 5 years, but really this is a difference of 8 years. Well, that's because if you've lived to 70, the people that die in between that, they're no longer counted because they're not alive. If I'm 70, my life expectancy is actually now 84. And if I make it to 80, my life expectancy as a male would be 88. If I live to 90, I have 4 more years of life expectancy, and you see that these numbers get closer as we get older. The other thing I want to take into account is 401ks, IRAs. There's Roth, and then there's traditional. The risk is, say I have a traditional IRA or 401k or 403b. Once I turn 72 and a half, basically by the time I hit 73, I have a required minimum distribution. And what happens is, if I have a lot of money at that point, this RMD could actually trigger me going above the $103,000 as a single or $206,000 married. This is a good problem to have, but effectively this increased income will now increase my Medicare costs. So that might be doubling my healthcare coverage. It might be tripling my healthcare coverage. I don't know what it will be at that point. So I want to try to keep my taxable earnings as under this 103 or 206, depending if I'm single or married. So one thing I might do is, if I have a lot of cash in traditional IRAs and 401ks, I might start drawing down on that in my 60s and push to get 70 so that I get that plus 8% per year if I think I'm going to live for a long period of time. And that'll help keep my Medicare costs down, and I'll hold off on my Roth, and if I don't need the Roth, I would leave that potentially to the next generation so that they can have that, and then they just need to pull that out within 10 years of receiving that upon my death or anything like that. So that's one way to look at it. Other people that don't have a lot of 401k and IRA traditional accounts, maybe they want to take the retirement and let those accounts grow, either if it's traditional or if it's Roth. Doesn't matter. If it's not a large sum of money, then you don't have to worry about, at least for me, hitting more than $206,000 a year as a married couple. And then the other thing to remember is that if you're a married couple, the odds of both of you living very long are not as likely, so one of you may pass, and then all of a sudden, instead of 206, you have to worry about the 103, and then on top of that, your tax brackets change, and instead of filing jointly, which you can do for a survivor benefit for 1 year, basically then you get taxed everything at a higher tax bracket. So you kind of get doubly injured when one of the spouses pass away. For me personally, I'd probably wait till at least full retirement age, if not 70 years old, before I draw down on Social Security. Reason being, as I have grandfathers that have lived into their early 60s, as well as others that have lived to 89 years old. I have female grandparents that have lived into their 90s and great-grandparents that have lived into their late 90s. So for me, as long as I'm not drinking and smoking and making bad life decisions, and make sure I'm taking care of myself and exercising, I fully believe that it'll pay off if I take distributions starting at 70 years old. Other family members, they have poorer health, so they've taken it at 62. And by taking those early distributions at 62 and 63, they're now finding that they're struggling to keep up with paying for bills because they didn't really have any retirement savings, and it's going to be a bit more of a struggle. And they wish they would have waited and got a couple of % more. Like you get that 6% more per year, about a 0.5% per month. So even waiting 1 month or 2 months, it does help. If I didn't have a large 401k, IRA, 403b, really I would try to work more years and try to delay withdrawals so that I get that 6% extra per year and allow my account balances to grow over time. Allowing things to grow over time, compound interest is really powerful, but you need to give it time. If you enjoy this and other financial topics such as how to make more money, how to invest, how to save money, especially on taxes, and retirement, and other ideas like this, please subscribe. This is a channel for you. And feel free to leave a comment. If you have any questions, put them underneath. I'll get back to you eventually. So, alright, well, thank you and have a great day.